We are live. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Boxing Fanatico live show as we hit episode 89 and we continue trucking. Boy, we have the topic today, the topic of most boxing controversies in recent times. Who's the pound for pound number one fighter? Let's go ahead and switch over to my face right quick. What is going on, everybody? Thank you so much for coming to Boxing Fanatico Live, episode 89. We got to start the show off with my man, the myth, the legend himself, Hashim47 with the Let's Go champ. Thank you so much, brother, for coming into each and every one of these live streams. And of course, we always have to christen each of these shows with a Michael Buffer. Let's get ready to rumble. Michael Buffer, hit us with the Let's Get Ready to Rumble. Cue you in.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Let's get ready to rumble is right. Today, we got to talk about something important, fellas. We got to talk about pound for pound number one. It is hotly contested. How long has it been since we've had a hotly contested pound for pound number one? It's normally a consensus number one. When Mayweather was doing his reign, he was pound for pound number one. There wasn't a question. Even while Manny Pacquiao was around, he was pound for pound number one. Then we had Andre Ward. He was pound for pound number one, right? Now we're in this like gray area of boxing where somebody else could be pound for pound number one, where it's not set in stone that there's one guy who's the best. And that's where we are right now, especially since Inoue's performance on Tuesday, right, yesterday. Now, we didn't talk about his performance. We didn't do a video. Thank you, by the way, to everybody who's been supporting my videos on these boxing games and talking about these boxing. Our channel is like doing this crazy trajectory upwards since we put out the boxing mini game content stuff. So I'm super happy. The lives are not going to go away, though. We're still going to do the lives. However, there is going to be a lot of dedicated videos to boxing games. Kind of, where we were back in 2020, except with newer content that we're going to be talking about. So we got to reserve those videos, but the lives, the Mondays, the Wednesdays, the Fridays, I can't make those go away. No matter how hard, I can't make those go away. I need them. I need them just as much as you guys need them. All right, let me go ahead and take a look at this real quick, what you guys are saying. Anthony Murchison, what's going on, brother? Adrian Dones, what's up? Adrian Doan says Inoue made a strong case for pound, but Bud's still number one. I'll give Inoue fighter of the year for sure. We got to talk about that too. That's an interesting thing. We got to talk about that as well. ASAP TV, what's going on, brother? Josh Awo Susi, what's going on, brother? What's up? Shaw's 0311, what's going on, brother? AP whatever, what's up, AP? Naoya Inoue had a crazy fight and well-deserved win to become undisputed champ. Again, that was a good fight. Yes, good fight. Very difficult fight for him as well. Wasn't a cakewalk. Maybe not too crazy difficult, but it definitely wasn't a cakewalk. Hola, Fanatico. Hola, amigos. What's going on, David Morales? Okay, let's talk about the fight. Let's talk about Inoue versus Tapales. He had an easier time with Stephen Fulton. He had an easier time with Stephen Fulton. Tapales was countering him, was creating uncomfortable situations, was not allowing for certain traps and setups to work for Inoue. Tapales was there to win. He wasn't there to be the poster boy for another Inoue knockout. Tapales was there to win. My man loves, he said, I missed the music. Man, you got to be here early, bro. You got to know, 7 p.m. Eastern time, right on the dot. That's the only way you can actually know. If you come at 7 p.m., you miss the music. The music is if you come 2 minutes earlier. If you come 2 minutes earlier, I go live around 6:58-ish to allow for people to come in. And then we start talking at 7 p.m. So you kind of missed that. What you want to do is you want to come in 2 minutes before 7 p.m. Love seat. But yeah, you know what it is. Anyways, so I lost my train of thought. I think, what was I saying? Inoue was having trouble with Tapales. Tapales was not there to sit down. He wasn't there to sit down and just give the win, just give him 2-time undisputed, right? He wasn't there to do that. He was there to win. He wanted to win. He just couldn't, right? He couldn't because at the end of the day, he's still Inoue, right? You're going to give him trouble, but he's still Naoya Inoue. And he was able to figure out different ways to get on the inside. Tapales' defense was really, really stiff and hard to break through. But Inoue figured it out, breaking him down, going from head and body, figuring out different angles to land his shots, taking big shots as well. And he was taking those shots very, very well, considering that this is his 4th division that he's moved up to. So he's been taking the shots really, really well up there, especially in the Tapales fight. You could really tell that he's been doing that. And, he's been doing his thing. He did his thing in the fight, and he was able to overcome all of the adversity and adjust and come out with the victory and become a 2-time undisputed champion. The only other man other than Crawford to be able to pull this feat. Now, I see a lot of people saying, yo, but he did it so quickly, though. He became 2-time undisputed so quickly. So what? He became 2-time undisputed this year. Crawford became 2-time undisputed this year. Before Crawford did it, no one had ever done it. So you could give Inoue the title for doing it fast. Then you could also give Crawford the title for doing it being the first to do it. One thing that happens so much in boxing that's a little bit frustrating. Just a little bit, not too crazy, but just a little bit. Actually, before I say that, let me look at what you guys are saying right here. Tapales was landing some power on the monster. He really was slugging. Yes, 100%. Not too late to change your fighter of the year pick. You're right about that, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that, bro. We're going to talk about that, King Juice. Tapales definitely offers some resistance despite winning 1 round. Japanese monster is pound for pound and fighter of the year. AJ to smash Wilder. I remember you saying Wilder wins. Nah, AJ was smash. That's another thing. CR 1987. You can't think that because fighter A lost to fighter B, but fighter B beat fighter C, that fighter C can easily beat fighter A. It's all about the styles. It's all about the styles. The styles are what matters. I don't think that Joshua is a better technical boxer than Joseph Parker, in my opinion. I think he's a boxer who likes to engage and likes to have somewhat of a fight, put on a fight. And with somebody as wild and as sloppy as Deontay Wilder, see, the thing with Deontay Wilder is that it's never predicted that Deontay Wilder is going to be more technical, outbox anybody. It's just that he has a powerful right hand that if it lands, is lights out, right? Like it's 95% of the time, it's been lights out, no matter how good you are. To me, King Kong is a better boxer than Anthony Joshua overall. He's an Olympian, just like Anthony Joshua, gold medal. But he's a better boxer, and he was outboxing Wilder twice, and Wilder still knocked him out. My point is, it's very difficult to avoid that right hand from Wilder, and to try to avoid it for 12 rounds straight is a very difficult task. In my opinion, I believe that Wilder will land it on Anthony Joshua. I still think that. Even after the performances that we have, I still think that Wilder would land that shot. Is Anthony Joshua overall a better boxer? And if Wilder doesn't land that shot, does he lose? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I still do believe that he's capable of landing that shot on Anthony Joshua. What Wilder definitely has to do is figure out ways to mask that punch, but he lacks technically, so it's not going to be an easy thing for him to do no matter how hard he tries. It's crazy that Tapales gave a tough fight and Inoue looked flawless in the post-fight press. Yeah, he gave him a tough fight, but you know how somebody the knots and whatever, how somebody's face looks doesn't necessarily mean that they were in an easy fight or a tough fight. Somebody could have more knots, and just because their face could swell up much easier than the next guy, but then they lost they won the fight, right? Because it's all dependent on what you actually did in the ring, not how beat up your face looks, because that's all contextual to the person's face and how easy it is to bruise and the specific spots you're hitting people in, right? So that's an important thing as well. So when people ever show those pictures like, hey, look at this guy and look at that guy, who really won this fight? It's like, yeah, but that to me in boxing, because boxing has a structured scoring system based off of like certain criteria that I don't really pay too much mind to whose face is more cut up or beat up than the other person. Also considering how different people are when it comes to their faces. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say this. There is always in boxing a recency bias. It's happening even with Wilder right now, right? We forget Wilder knocking out Ortiz twice, right? We forget Wilder giving Fury hell in the third fight. We forget all these things because he just lost. We forget that Crawford defeated an undefeated Errol Spence Jr. that had a resume that consisted of Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, Ugas, because Inoue just won. There's a thing where because it just happened, the excitement creates these goggles where it's like, I'm so excited. This guy's the pound for pound fighter. That's it. And the fighter of the year. And this and that. All the accolades I could give him, he got it. Because I just saw the fight and I'm super excited from the fight. We have to be very careful with boxing because just because something happened a while back or because something happened a few months ago doesn't validate that less than the thing that just happened that you're currently excited about. The same way you can give Inoue, which by the way, it was an amazing performance because he had to adjust. He struggled, but him having to adjust to Tapales and him getting the win the way he did after adjusting, it actually gave me a more positive outlook on Inoue's performance for this year. If he would have railroaded Tapales, it would have proved then that Tapales was who Tapales was to the general public, and it was easy, smooth sailing. But Tapales wasn't that guy. Tapales was a tough competitor, tougher than Stephen Fulton, more craftier in there. Stephen Fulton wasn't doing much to change the direction of the fight. Inoue had Fulton figured out from the first round, while Tapales had Inoue confused in certain points and having to adjust and figure things out. So because it was more difficult, yet he still adjusted and got the knockout, he'll get the consolation prize to me as being the fighter of the year because I care about a few things. He got the Fulton fight, which Fulton was a marquee name. Tapales wasn't. However, Tapales showed his grit and his abilities in there against an Inoue. And Inoue still adjusted to that, had to do multiple adjustments and got him out of there and became two-time undisputed. So he got fighter of the year. So I renege my fighter of the year for Benavidez and I give it to Inoue. Inoue is my fighter of the year. He earned it from his fight with Tapales. And I don't want to give it to Crawford because it's volume to me as well. Volume is a important factor, which is why I don't want to give it to Crawford. Because to me, if you're going to be fighter of the year, you have to be representative of the year, and only having one fight is not representative of the year. So it's going to Inoue. All right. I'm a big enough person to understand the ramifications of how difficult that fight was and what he was able to do against Tapales. Tapales was a unified champion in that division. Had 2 belts. I get it. Inoue became 2-time undisputed. I get it. Fighter of the year. He got it. He's not pound for pound number 1. Pound for pound number 1 is not about how quickly you got to 2-time undisputed. It's not about did you get a knockout or did you not? Are you exciting or are you not? Are you pay-per-view worthy? Are you a star? Do people know you? Were you the last person to fight? That's not what pound for pound stands for. Pound for pound means that this person is the best fighter in boxing. And you could use any type of metrics you want to come up to that conclusion mentally so that you can make a mythical list. Grant, he could be number 1 pound for pound in someone else's list, and that'll be fine. I'm talking about for me. So when I say he's not, I'm not saying he's not for anyone. I'm saying he's not for me. If he moves up next year and does some crazy stuff, fights Brandon Figueroa, beats Brandon Figueroa, keeps on moving, I'm going to have to eventually decide that he is. But right now, Crawford beating Errol Spence, a man that beat all those guys, becoming the first undisputed champion, being the first, one of the first few people to become undisputed in the 4-belt era, period. There was actually a dry spell in people becoming undisputed until Crawford did it. And who he beat to become 2-time undisputed is crazy. He beat Errol Spence. And the way he beat Errol Spence to become 2-time undisputed in comparison to how Inoue beat Tapales. What it did for Inoue is that it showed grit, it showed determination, it showed resistance, it showed resolve, it showed intelligence, and it showed the ability to adjust. What it showed with Crawford versus Errol Spence is that Errol Spence was not even in Crawford's league. Mind you, Crawford versus Errol Spence was a 50-50 fight. And he proved the betting odds were way off. Inoue versus Tapales was not a 50-50 fight. And Tapales proved that it should have been a little bit closer. That's 2 different performances. One shows the heart and desire and intelligence and the ability to adjust. The other shows someone completely mauling a top 5 pound for pound fighter to become undisputed 2 times. So they're both 2 times undisputed. So you can take that away. And even if you want to say speed for Inoue, you could give Crawford. See, this is the thing. People like to pick, I want to say speed is important. But what about being the first to do it? That's not important. He was the first to do it this year. This was the year that he did it, and that was the first person to ever do it in the 4-belt era. That doesn't matter. The only criteria that matter are the ones that conveniently lean you into picking Inoue. Again, I'm not saying that he isn't number one for someone else. He could easily be, because the list is a mythical list that it doesn't really hold any weight anyways. It's a made up list. It's made up. But the way I see it, for me, is that what Crawford did shows that he's the best fighter in the world. Did he do enough to win the year? No. Did he do enough to prove that he is the number one fighter in the world? Absolutely. He mauled Errol Spence. Inoue had to do 2, 3, 4, 5 different adjustments. He mauled Errol Spence in a 50-50 fight. Mauled him. 3 to 5 adjustments for Inoue against Tapales. Tapales didn't have noteworthy wins before this fight. Not taking anything away, he was unified. He deserved it. But we talking about Errol Spence, who beat Sean Porter, who beat Danny Garcia, who beat Ugas, who beat Kell Brook. We talking about Sean Porter. I mean, Errol Spence. We talking about Errol Spence. Not to mention, in Crawford's entire career, he's not ever had a questionable win. You know how hard that is in boxing? Or even a close fight. He's never been in a close fight. If the fight was theoretically close, the person was knocked out. So it never went to the scorecards. Inoue has had trouble with Nonito Donaire. And now with Tapales having to adjust a few times. Now, granted, that is a positive thing that you can adjust and you can figure it out, and you have the IQ to stay there, have the resolve to overcome this situation and still come out with the victory. Especially with a knockout victory. That's huge that he could do that. But, guys, stop it with the recency bias. Stop. Pull back, isolate every performance and what it meant for them to do what they did, and make a decision in that scope, pulling back, not from the excitement of what just happened. I don't mind if you have Inoue number one. All I'm saying is that we got to stop with the recency bias. It's like now that Wilder lost to Joseph Parker, he can't knock out anybody with his right hand that has knocked out everybody. Nobody thinks that Wilder's going to outbox nobody. Nobody thinks that. He's always going to be losing on the scorecards. But now his right hand don't work because he got outboxed by Joseph Parker. Recency bias. That's so heavy in boxing. It's hard, too. I know it's hard. It's hard because you're excited. I was excited when I saw what Inoue did. I was like, man, that is so cool. This dude had to adjust all of this, and he's 2-time undisputed. Man, that kid is good. And it almost blinds you, like, oh, damn, he's the best. Wait a second. Is he? It almost blinds you because it just happened. You're excited about it. If Inoue, I guarantee you, if Inoue won his second undisputed title in the middle of the year, and then just now Crawford beat Errol Spence, I guarantee you Crawford would be number one pound for pound fighter on most people's lists today. But because Crawford did it earlier in the year and Inoue just did it, now Inoue is pound for pound number one. Because of the excitement. It just happened. It's exciting. It just happened. But in my opinion, and I'm not giving Crawford the year, but pound for pound list is not about how good, it's not about your criteria for the year, what you did for the year. It's not about that. It's about, are you the best? And yes, he only fought one time this year, but that person he beat put him, it solidified him. It didn't even do it just solidified how good he was. It solidified how good he was. Anyways, let me see what you guys are saying. My fault. We went on a little rant there. LOL. Crawford had to cross the street. That's why it took so long. Yeah, I mean, politics is part of boxing. It's part of it. My fight of the year is definitely Derenchenko and Munguia. I believe that is the fight of the year as well. Yeah, I would say yes. Cordina versus Rakhimov, close number 2 though. That was a good fight, but Derenchenko versus Munguia was crazy. Styles make fights, but everyone dissing AJ being ish. He smashed Valine. Fury struggled. He smashed Klitschko. Yeah, but Fury struggled with a Klitschko that had not lost in 10 years. And then you see, you got to be careful when you're putting these things together. It ain't the same Klitschko. AJ is not beating the same Klitschko that Fury beat. AJ is not beating he didn't beat the same Klitschko. He could, I don't know if he could beat him or not, but I'm just saying he didn't beat the same Klitschko that Fury beat. He beat a Klitschko that was about to retire. Fury beat a Klitschko that hadn't lost in 10 years, that held the world title, world record, still holds the world record for the longest title reign. It ended because of Fury. It's not the same thing. Fury struggled on PEDs. Okay, what PED performance? We don't know. We don't even know if that's true, bro. You're just saying. AJ also beat a more prime Parker. See, so okay, so you want this is what I'm trying to say when it comes to build your own narratives. So we're gonna say for AJ, he beat a more prime Parker. But for Klitschko, Fury struggled with him. He didn't struggle with a more prime Klitschko. He just struggled with Klitschko, and AJ beat him, right? Or even though the AJ Klitschko fight was like a fight of the year back and forth thing, by the way, it was also that type of a fight, except it was more explosive and there was a knockout at the end. But it was still difficult for AJ. It wasn't like an easy win. It was a back and forth fight. AJ had a back and forth fight. But I love how, now that we're talking about Joseph Parker, he was a more primed Parker when AJ beat him. And Wilder lost to him. You see what I'm saying? How y'all create y'all own, y'all only mention the things that make it so that it leans into whatever you want to talk about or make or agree on. I don't mind if you say AJ beat Vladimir Klitschko and Fury struggled with Vladimir Klitschko. AJ beat Parker and Wilder lost to Parker. I don't mind if you frame it like that, but when you give a completely different framing for the same exact situation, there's bias there. Wilder helped Joseph Parker out by constantly having his back on the ropes. Joseph Parker would throw combos and always end up in Wilder's chest, so he couldn't punch back. Yeah. One thing that Joseph Parker did strategy-wise that was that when he let his hands go, he didn't stop letting it go until he was completely right in front of Wilder. That way he ensured that he created all this offensive traffic. Wilder could never get a clean shot in. And he smothered Wilder's entire right hand. And then also, Wilder never adjusted, which we know this, right? If it just needs to land once. But he didn't do anything for it to land on Joseph Parker. He didn't do anything. When he would throw it, Joseph Parker would duck, and that will be the end of it. Or Joseph Parker would throw a combination and keep throwing combinations and come in close. And it wouldn't allow Wilder to do anything. And Wilder's trying to do all these defensive stuff, and it's like, that's not your ballpark, bro. That's not who you are. Don't do that. Be you. There's always this weird ego thing with boxers that they want to feel like they're defensive. Oh, I'm defensive, so that means I know more. I'm more technical. Be you. Wilder, you know who you are? You're a non-technical, non-defensive, non-fundamentals guy with a godly right hand, probably one of the most powerful right hands in the entire history of a plus 100-year sport. Use that. Be that. Stop trying to be, I could now, look, I'm on my toes now, so I'm a boxer. You're not. There's nothing wrong with that. Not everybody's a boxer. Not everybody's a puncher. You're a puncher. You're the puncher. Forget about a puncher. You're the puncher. Roll with that. Anyways, one good thing that has come from this is that there's talking about still doing the AJ versus Wilder fight because they believe that the AJ versus Wilder fight still has energy behind it. And I do believe that it still has energy behind it. Put them in there and let's see what Wilder would do against AJ, right? I mean, they both lost. AJ was outboxed twice by Usyk. And hopefully this also shows how good Usyk is, because you guys a lot of people always constantly belittling Usyk. He beat AJ twice for all the belts, -1. He beat AJ twice, so put some respect on Usyk's name, right? But they both lost. AJ lost to Usyk twice. Wilder lost to Fury. They both lost. And then now Wilder lost to Joseph Parker. Okay, cool. AJ lost to what's the dude? Andy Ruiz. Right? Okay. Make them fight each other. Make them fight each other. I still want to see it. I still think that it has value. Make them fight each other, and then we will see who would win between a styles clash of AJ versus Wilder. Let me see what you guys are saying. Hold on, I gotta skip a few. I gotta skip a few and come down. Oh, speaking of, your pound for pound list has some flaws. What flaws? I feel like my pound for pound list pretty solid. What flaws is in my pound for pound list? Please speak of these flaws, King Juice, so that I know what you're talking about. I noticed that with all the main Japanese fighters, I don't understand that these 5-0 guys even have that quality. It's like a more potent Mexican style with sharper punches. Yeah, it's very interesting that there's always like a specific style that resonates with a certain demographic. And there's just that sharp kind of puncher's style that we see a lot in a lot of Japanese fighters. That's for sure. TC only has one name. Come on, man. One name? Terrence Crawford beat Sean Porter, Cal Brook, Amir Khan, Victor Postol. What's the dude that Jeff Horn, the guy who beat Manny Pacquiao? He beat Jeff Horn. Errol Spence. Undefeated Yuriorkis Gamboa. One name? What do you mean one name? Victor Postol was also undefeated. What do you mean? One name. I'm confused. One name? He's beating everybody. He's beating everybody. He was undisputed. After many years of people not being undisputed, he was undisputed at 140. What do you mean Terrence Crawford only has one name? Nonito is a Hall of Fame, and Inoue beat him twice and with a broken orbital bone. Yeah, but Nonito lost to, what was this dude's name? The Jamaican dude? Nicholas Walters. He lost to Nicholas Walters. He lost to Rigondeaux. He was the old version. It's like when Oscar De La Hoya beat Julio Cesar Chavez. Sure, he beat Julio Cesar Chavez, the guy who went so many wins without a loss, but he beat the old version of him. Inoue beat in a very old version of what Nonito Donaire was. He was a shell of his former self. He wasn't the same Nonito Donaire. He beat an old version of Nonito Donaire. My man, look at this. I didn't even see this yet. And he's saying, and Ndongo. Yeah, forgot about Ndongo as well. I get the recency bias, but let's not forget Inoue whitewashed Fulton this year too. I know, no, that's the thing that got Inoue in my eyes in the conversation. That's what has Inoue in the conversation because of what he did to Fulton this year. That's what has him in the conversation. And because he struggled with Tapales and figured out a way to win and get the knockout, it made me do something dramatic, which has changed who my fighter of the year was to Inoue. Because he has the volume, he has the well-known name in Fulton, and he has the grit and the ability to adjust the IQ. He showed it with the volume of having two fights, and he became two-time undisputed as well. But I still think that Crawford is better than Inoue. Because that's what the pound-for-pound list is. It's not who did amazing this year. It's who's better overall. We can't forget, like, overall, Crawford has all these different names that he's defeated. He's the first person to knock out Sean Porter. The first person to ever do it. Sean Porter's never been stopped until Terrence Crawford. Errol Spence had never lost, and Terrence Crawford mauled him. So I'm not taking away Inoue's Fulton win. That's what got me. That's what pushed me over the edge in connection to what his performance was against Tapales and what he needed to do to win that. But Fulton wasn't harder than a Tapales fight. So it also dilutes a little bit of what the Fulton, fight was, right? Because Tapales was much harder than Fulton this year. Plus, AJ got rocked bad in that fight. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He got hurt. It's the exact same Klitschko. Exactly the same. An aging Klitschko. Just because he hasn't lost in 10 years. No, but he was much, much, much younger when he fought Fury. What do you mean? The older you get, the worse you are. You don't get better, you get worse. My mans. Fury versus Klitschko. The exact same. How you gonna say the exact same? Like, what are you talking about, bro? Just say that you have a bias towards Anthony Joshua, and we be straight. If you say you have a bias towards Anthony Joshua, we straight. We get it. Man, it's not popping up on here. Klitschko versus Fury. 2015. Klitschko versus Joshua. Klitschko versus Joshua 2017. That's a whole 2 years. That's an entire 2 years. He's older. If he was old when he fought Fury, then he's really old when he fought Joshua. It don't work that way. Where it's like, oh, he was just as old, and then now he's just the same as old. No, it doesn't work that way. If he was old when he fought Fury, he's even older when he fought, because that's how age works. You move forward. Time goes forward, you get older. He was 39 when he fought Fury. He was 41 when he fought Joshua. He was much better when he fought Fury. So yeah, your argument is for CR. You're just exposing yourself right now. You're exposing yourself. Michael Davis, what's going on? Wilder tried the same tactics he did against Helenius, but it wasn't effective. Lateral movement to draw Parker into a big shot. He needs more tools to set up the right hand. In my opinion, he just needs to be able to set up the right hand. He needs like at least 8 different ways to set up the right hand. Because just throwing it, the jab, and then throwing it, you gotta, first of all, when you're throwing the jab, people are expecting that the right hand is gonna come. You need to do more things. I liked how he incorporated the uppercut to give people something to think about, that if you duck your head away from my straight, you're going to eat an uppercut. But he needed to do more. He needed to change the trajectory of his straight hand. He never did that. He always kept going for where the head was and not where the head was going to be. One thing that he could do, knowing that you're going to still hit the body, even if he doesn't duck his head, you're good. Lower the trajectory of the punch. Make them feel that the punch is going to be over here, but you actually landed down here. Meet them down there. He wasn't doing that. And that was frustrating to watch. If you don't respect Usyk, you don't like boxing. There's a lot of people that don't like, oh, Usyk, he's overrated and Fury's going to beat Usyk and all this stuff. While Usyk out here not getting a knockout like out of nowhere kind of situation against AJ. He's outboxing AJ, outsmarting AJ. Remember that? Remember the guy on Saturday that was doing all these beautiful tactics and maneuvers against Otto Wallin? Yeah, that guy was outboxed by Usyk twice. And don't give me but his new trainer. There's only so much a new trainer could do to an old boxer, to an older boxer, a person who's been boxing for years. There's only so much. They're not going to change the entire ethos of how that person fights. He wasn't fighting no different to me than how he was fighting against Andy Ruiz the second time around. I think before he got knocked out by Ruiz, he was a little bit more wanting to put on a show, and then he became a little bit more reserved. And what we see now is the person who became reserved. The thing is, it doesn't matter how reserved you are, whatever. Against a Usyk, it's going to be tough. No matter how you slice it, it's going to be tough because Usyk is just that good. He's just that good. Victor Postol was an amazing win. When he beat Victor Postol, and it was like a 1-round knockout, and Victor Postol was undefeated, that was a huge win. Huge. I actually disagree. I've watched that fight multiple times, and I do believe that Jeff Horn beat Manny Pacquiao. I know that's a controversial thought to a lot of people because a lot of people truly never watched the fight. They're saying there's a lot of people that say Manny won that fight by looking at highlights or something and never actually watched the fight. If you actually watch the fight, there's never a point where Manny Pacquiao fully gets going and starts creating any type of separation between him and Jeff Horn. And Jeff Horn's landing shots throughout that entire time. Go actually watch the fight. Go and actually watch the fight. Look at every round and judge it without saying, oh, this is Manny Pacquiao. He must be able to beat Jeff Horn. That was a bad night for Manny Pacquiao. Whatever it was, in my opinion, Jeff Horn actually won that fight. And I've watched the fight a bunch of times. He actually won that fight. He was not gifted that fight. He wasn't gifted that fight. He actually won it. Danny didn't want any parts of Victor. Yeah, nobody did. I mean, Victor Postol was a beast. I disagree. I disagree with this statement. He did not get gifted the fight. Watch the fight. Actually watch the fight, Gus Fring. Watch it. It wasn't a gift. Who you got between Bam Rodriguez and the Monster? I got the Monster. I got Inoue beating Bam Rodriguez. One thing that you could clearly see from the Bam Rodriguez versus Sonny Edwards fight is that Bam could technically be outboxed. That whole beginning portion of the fight, he was getting kind of outboxed by Sonny Edwards. He's good at adjusting, but what happens when you meet somebody who's also good at adjusting and can outbox you? I think Inoue is going to create that situation where he's going to be doing good early on. Bam Rodriguez is going to adjust, and then Inoue is going to adjust to that, and then it's going to be them adjusting to each other. But I think Inoue's skills pockets, his skill pockets are going to be deeper than Bam Rodriguez. We've seen Bam Rodriguez struggle in his fight against Gonzalez, right? To the body, getting hit to the body. He couldn't adjust to that for a while. So I think Inoue is going to, he's going to do very, very well against Bam Rodriguez if they were to fight. And I hope that they make that fight. He became undisputed already at this division. He could do whatever he wants. If he wants to move, he doesn't have to necessarily move up. Maybe he could move down, right? He's 4 divisions away. Or he went 4 divisions away from where he started. He could move down. He could move back down. Just to make a mega fight like that, yeah. And if he moves and then beats Bam Rodriguez, sure, he'll be the bigger guy because he came from a higher weight. But that, to me, would definitely put him in a position where he could be considered the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Only people better with age, B-Hop, and arguably Glenn Johnson. Yeah, but those are anomalies, right? You could say that B-Hop got better, but those are anomalies. Normally, you get worse with age. And it still got to a point where B-Hop, it was just too far. He was too old. Once he met up with Joe Smith Jr., it was a wrap. He's gotten too old at that point. Can't talk about undisputed MMA experts. Unfortunately, I can't talk about undisputed on this channel. King Juice, you still need to tell me what's the flaw in my pound for pound list. I'm waiting to hear it. I feel like that list is solid. So I need to hear the counters so that I could see what your perspective is, why you feel this way. I thought Sonny was about to be the young, fleet-footed, black fighter that I knew him as. He was in there fighting the fighter. Yeah, I know, which was crazy. which was crazy. He stated that his eye or whatever, but of course you know how I am. I don't take any excuses. I don't even care if it's a person that I know, right? Excuses to me is just something that I don't accept. He fought him in the middle of the ring, and he was doing his best work when he wasn't doing that. When he was moving on the back foot. He should have kept doing that. He should have kept doing that. They're definitely gonna do the fight. They already had that fight signed, sealed, and delivered. They're gonna do their fight. They're gonna do it next year. And I have Usyk beating Fury. I have Usyk beating Fury. Do you think Malik would give Wilder those 8 ways to land the right hand? You could tell somebody something, but if they don't have the skills to apply it in the heat of battle, it's something completely different. He has to be able to implement it in real time against somebody who doesn't want him to implement that, who's hitting him back, who's doing their own thing, trying to make him try to figure him out. In the heat of battle, it's a whole different. That's why you'll see somebody look real sharp with pads and hitting the boxing bag and stuff like that. But in the heat of battle, when somebody else is giving you a mental stack that you got to think about, and you're getting hit when you didn't expect it, and now you're thinking about getting hit, and it's different. You can't just on command be like, this is a skill that he taught me. I'm gonna use that skill and I'm gonna land it. It doesn't work like that because he's not that type of fighter. Wilder's just not that type of fighter. Whenever Wilder is predicted to win, it's not because anyone thinks he is better technically than anyone else. So it's likely that he could lose. He's just shown that a dramatically, insanely consistent ability to, no matter what, find a way to land the right hand. The first time he didn't do that was against Joseph Parker. The first time he didn't do that was actually against Joseph Parker. Because even against Fury, he landed that right hand. It wasn't enough to get him out of there, but he landed it devastatingly on Fury. A few times. Especially in that first fight. AJ did fight the same way as Usyk too. Yeah, because what happened is that after AJ lost the fight to Andy Ruiz, he stopped being the guy that's gonna make an entertaining showing. Before that fight, pay attention to all his fights. His Vladimir Klitschko fight was a crazy back and forth battle. His fights with Dillian White, crazy fight, right? He wanted these crazy fights. He would have these crazy battles because he knew at the end of the day he'll get his hands raised. But then when he encountered the Andy Ruiz situation, and it gave him his first loss, that's when things switched up. That's when he was like, oh, hold up. Now because he's good at boxing too. He's good. He's not Usyk level, but he's good. So he reverted to his Olympic amateur, the stuff that he learned going into the amateurs. And he said, now I'm a box. Because I'm going to prioritize the win. Because I was playing with fire, and I finally got burned. Now I'm a box. So since the Andy Ruiz loss, he's been boxing like this. Like the way we saw him, he's been boxing like this. My man said, yeah, Inoue is a weight bully and Duncan Benavidez. If anything, Inoue is being weight bullied. Because this man has moved up 4 divisions. He's allowing himself to be weight bullied. Inoue ducking Buzz so bad. Okay, sure. Sure. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that we could see that fight too. We could see that fight too. We could see it at 126 or wherever. I don't think he's at 126 right now. What weight class is Inoue in right now? I thought it was one. I thought it was like 120. Hold on, let me see. He's at 122 right now. He's at 122. So he doesn't have to go all the way up to 126. So you said it's based off of if all the guys were the same size who would win. Shakur will beat a lot of the guys ahead of the gym if they were the same size. Pedigree has to play a factor. Yes. That is the guiding light of the list. But I do have to. I always say this too, King Juice. I also do have to respect what the other person, what the people above have accomplished. I could think like if it was up to me, like if it was just who I think would win, Shakur could be in the top 4, right? If it was just who I think would win. I do have to respect the accomplishments because that adds a layer of telling us who's better as well. There's the eye test that adds a layer, what they do, but what they actually accomplish, that has to be respected. That has to be respected. So that's the caveat. The North Star, the guiding light, the 85% of it is who would beat the person below them, or who would beat everyone below them, where they're put in on the list. But then there's also that factor that you have to respect. You can't shake it. You gotta respect it to some degree. Unless, to me, if something is proven that the person will beat you no matter what, then you could kind of diminish the accolades a little bit. And the only way to prove it to me is if the person actually beats the person. If you get what I'm saying. So like if Bivol beat Canelo, he proved without a shadow of a doubt he is better than Canelo. So you don't have to use any of that other element to figure out who's better or who's not better, because they proved it in the ring. Yeah, it's a mix of both. I do think that some of us, even me, forgot about if they were in the same weight class, who wins part of the fairy tale list. Yeah. Some people don't even think about that. I give that a lot of power, right? So you're not going to see me put Canelo above Bivol. I just can't do it because Bivol beat him and proved you don't have to create any types of hypotheticals based off of their performances and their accomplishments. They proved it in the ring. So we know for a fact, okay, he would beat Canelo. Canelo is not better than Bivol. Now with Shakur, maybe Shakur is better than Devin Haney, right? We've seen sparring stuff and whatever. The eye test kind of tells us he's probably better than Devin Haney, but we don't know for 100% certainty. With Bivol, we know for 100% certainty. So because we don't know for 100% certainty, the accolades and what they do give that extra layer of like, maybe this is telling us a story that we don't know about, right? Because we just don't know for sure. We might be very confident, but we don't know for sure. And because of that, that's the reason why it still kind of falls in line to who would the person on top beat below, because it's factoring in the fact that there's uncertainty. Because no matter how confident you are that somebody would do, you just don't know for sure. And the accolades is what's factoring that in, is what's filling in that little 25% of uncertainty. That 25% of uncertainty, okay, I'm 85% sure this guy would beat this guy. So what's filling in that 25%? Okay, well, this guy is just beat Lomachenko, and he moved up, immediately went for a world title, and beat Regis Prograis. Okay, I'm fairly certain he would beat him, but the accolades is enough to give me confidence to put him higher because of what he accomplished. So it's a balance. Is a balance to create that respect and use that as a way to kind of gauge, since, like I said, we don't know for sure. To me, losses do affect you in the list. It does affect you because give me a break. You lost, right? So I know people are like, no, losses shouldn't matter, but they do because you losing, it shows that you're not impenetrable, that you're not this crazy force that's just dominating everybody, right? Somebody figured you out. So that does matter to me. But redemption also comes into play. For example, Teofimo Lopez was very low on my list when he lost to Kambosos. His win against Sander Martin did not do anything to help him, to increase him, right? But his win against an undefeated Josh Taylor, who was undisputed at 140, oh yeah, that's going to bump him up. That's going to bump him up. To me, that's a redemption win to his loss with Kambosos. That's a redemption win. I don't believe that Canelo has had a win that creates a redemption win versus his loss to Bivol. If Canelo beats Benavidez, that's a good redemption win to bump him up higher on the list. But if you lose, you need a good win to start bringing you back up. And that's just being fair and honest about it. I'm not going to sit here and act like, oh, losses don't matter. Fighters don't fight each other because they're so scared of that. Oh, but that does matter. Now, you could always bounce back from a loss, but to pretend like a loss don't mean nothing at all is crazy. You're just lying to yourself. As a boxing analyst, as a fan, you're just lying to yourself. The Casanova pugilist. Bud is pound for pound number one, no debate. Listen, it is debatable. We still got to be fair to Inoue. Do I have him as pound for pound number one? No, but he is so razor close to Bud. Like, he is razor close that if he wins a Bam Bam fight or something, maybe even a Brandon Figueroa fight, he might go up. A Bam Bam fight might solidify it even more, but a Brandon Figueroa fight might bump him up. He is so razor close to Bud. Very, very close. All right. We're going to go ahead and end the stream here. We went 3 minutes over, but a lot of you showed up. Guys, please hit the like button if you haven't. It definitely helps the channel. It helps the lives go out to more people because a lot of people watch these lives after the fact. They watch them on video on demand a lot. We get sometimes thousands of views way after because people are watching it on their own time. So, but hitting the like helps move it to all these people, helps the algorithm know that this is an important video that people like that enjoy boxing like you guys want to see, so they could push it to them. So please hit the like button if you haven't. Hit the subscribe button. Hit notification button as well, all notifications, so you know as soon as we go live and we start talking about boxing, because you want to get here right at the jump. You don't want to get here at the end of the, you know what I'm saying, at 7:58 when we about to stop the stream. It's not going to be fun, right? You're not going to have that fun time when we're talking. So hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit all notifications so you're notified as soon as we go live. And remember, this week was a little wacky because of Christmas and because of New Year's. It's gonna be a little bit wacky, but for the most part, every Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, 7 p.m. Eastern time to 8 p.m. Eastern time, we go live to talk about the current events in boxing. I think today was a really good conversation. Some people still believe Inoue is number one. He could be. He could be. It's very easily 1A, 1B for me, with Crawford being 1A, Inoue being 1B. It's just a very razor thin, competition, race to the number one spot. And I love it because I love having this kind of debate. When Floyd was number one, it was like there was not even a question. You could shuffle around everybody under Floyd, but Floyd would always be number one. I love how there's a debate at least. But one thing that came out of this is that I've done something very dramatic, which I never do, and I've changed who I believe is the fighter of the year to Inoue because of his abilities to adjust and how he had to fight against Tapales. Because, oddly enough, because he didn't steamroll Tapales, it gave Tapales more credit, therefore giving Inoue more credit for the win. That's how I saw that. So kudos to him. I think Inoue is the fighter of the year. In my opinion, he has all the criteria you need: volume, notable fighter win, difficult fight, overcoming the difficult fight. So he has everything you need. Plus, he became undisputed, 2-time undisputed, second man to ever do it. All amazing things. All right, until the next one, guys, thank you so much, and we will see you on Monday. Peace out, guys.